The conference finals are set, and so are the NFL schedules. Go New York, go New York, go. It's a conference finals edition of Martin and Monaco. Now, I am not the biggest Knicks fan out here, but I know this. As long as the Knicks keep winning, my boy Alex Monaco gets to keep working at MSG out there, man of the people, in the streets with the microphone, getting the takes and giving them better. So right now, we're a Knicks podcast, essentially, for the Eastern Conference. At least for right now, we're a Knicks podcast.
Hey, man, how are you seeing it? Obviously, you're from, not too far where the Detroit Pistons. You spent some life in that area, in the Detroit basketball area. So how are you feeling off of a Game 7? I certainly didn't foresee, Martin, Detroit folding at home. They were packed in early. A quarter and a half. That puppy was non-verbally wrapped up to go. Didn't even bother punching back. I'll keep it PG-13 because, as you alluded to, still got my network in this one. We'll keep it friendly. But, yeah, was not expecting that, my friend. What say you?
I mean, honestly, just a complete and total in the last games of both the Eastern semis and Western semis, laydowns, just complete laydowns that you saw from the one seed, who again in Detroit was a flawed one seed, right? They did not have the shot creation that you would think, and I think even Jalen Duren, of course. I mean, 7 games in the regular season with less than 10 points, 6 games in the postseason with less than 10 points. Right, but the thing to remember about this Pistons team is wild to me. I did pick them to go to the conference finals. I thought the defense would carry the day. They're not far. They're not far, but they're far from complete. And I think you see that this team, it can show you just how much the laydown in Game 7, inexcusable. But also, the trouble this team had in the postseason is more in line with a 4 seed than a 1 seed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, well, it also shows you the invaluable role players a role in the run. They had Beasley and Schroeder last year and a couple of other guys that were not prevalent in this run. Jenkins is a dude moving forward, but Duncan Robinson could not be trusted. And just, you look at Paul Reed, we know what he is. We know what he's not. It's a bummer because Cade had a horrendous Game 7. And, could he have willed him? I think it was minus 32 in his plus-minus, my man. I mean, a generationally bad performance for a guy that needs to deserve, even though he's overachieved and turned around at the face of the Detroit Pistons, got to deserve a little bit of a chirp, my man, on this one. If we're going to do the first take thing off of this kind of an out, it was an all-time one.
He stunk in the game and admitted as much. I also think that I have trouble. He had a Game 7 stinker, absolutely. But if he didn't have a game in the first round, Game 4 killer, Game 5 killer, Game 6 killer, like they would have never even gotten to the point.
The only thing I want to throw to you is I'm bothered by his effort in Game 7. I'm bothered by the guy looked checked out on defense. He wasn't attacking the second half. Did I have him for a double-double? Yes, he had 5 assists at half. He had 5 assists at the end of the game. All of a sudden, he stopped driving. He stopped dishing. He was lethargic on D. What are you doing, dude? There's no tomorrow. I called him Cancun Cunningham because it was that hard to watch. I'm like, does this dude not want it? He might not. The downside, do we dare say, of going chips all in with not a ton of depth in the regular season. They were exhausted. He was. If that's the out, Martin, but I need a thought there because it's one thing to lose. It's one thing to not have effort in your place in a win or go home.
I think especially when you look at a guy who was 0 for 8, I think, from 3, and a guy who shoots as well from 3 as he does, I think he just had no legs left. And look, the reality of the situation is when you are up 9 points with 3 minutes left in Game 5 and you lose that game, You now have to win 5 games in a 4-game series. And that's what the Pistons would have had to. That's what they had to do because they blew Game 5 and allowed the Cavaliers essentially. I mean, think about it, dude. You're up 9 points with 3 minutes left in a playoff game. That can't be a loss, right? So that ends up being a loss, and as a result, you run out of gas at the end of the series. The Cavaliers make it, but I mean, I will say this: I tip my cap to Donovan Mitchell. Because without they needed all 39 of those second-half points that he had to tie Sleepy Floyd's record. And also, James Harden was the same James Harden we've seen in Game 6 and 7s for a long, long time now. Even though he had 30 and 6, it was ugly down the stretch.
Yeah, 9 in Game 7. This boy was lucky.
9 in Game 7, 2 for 10. I mean, so I do say, and I think that is the one thing that, to your point, Donovan Mitchell back against the wall. I'm going out on fire. That's what you'd like to see. This is also a guy in Donovan Mitchell who is probably the second most accomplished player to never have reached the conference finals, save Joel Embiid, right? Because Joel Embiid actually got that MVP.
So speaking of New York Knicks hosting, I'll be there at the Garden. Coveted ticket. Lot to get in the building now. We're in round 3. I obviously am biased. I am obviously emotional. I am borderline delusional how far this Knicks team could go, Martin. So I am more curious your thoughts on this series. Knicks, just to lay it out, best cover at home in the NBA on the season, best first half home net rating in the NBA, and the best fourth quarter net rating at plus 11 and some change since a early 2000s Suns team led by Steve Nash. So on paper, we've seen them rattle off 7 wins, hit a ton of historic numbers, first team ever to hit 3 straight 25-plus point playoff victories, Martin. But again, rust, a lot of time off. It's a game of momentum and a game of runs within the game. You take a lot of time off here, bit of a reset, but also a quick turnaround for Cleveland.
The rust does concern you, especially when you see Josh Hart making light of it a little bit. But, I'm sure you saw the clip going around where he was like, I didn't want to stop playing, man. Cat was passing the ball. JB was coming off the ball. Mike Brown knew where his glasses were. We were humming. It's like the Knicks were humming. If the Pistons had survived the Eastern Conference Finals, I would have said Knicks in 7. With the Cavaliers winning, I got kind of bad news for you, Alex. You're only going to be at MSG 3 times in the third round because this is a 5-game series at best. I think at 6 at the worst. Knicks close it out on the road in Cleveland. And the reason why I like Detroit as a better matchup, I thought the Detroit defensively saved Game 7 because they had no defense there. But historically, through the postseason, they have a lot of guys who are 6'9" and up that you could throw at Towns, and a lot of guys that also with Thompson. I want to see Jalen Brunson win on Asar Thompson, 6-7 games in a row. Right. I think he'd be able to do it more often than not. Cavaliers got none of that. None of those guys can guard Jalen Brunson. And then between Mobley and Allen, I was telling this on our Saturday show with Ian and Monsi, they got 2 tall guys. They don't got 2 bigs. Cat is a big. They got 2 talls. And who's coming in off the bench? Thomas Bryant is supposed to stop Point Cat? Like I'm not. I'm sleepier than a bodega cat hearing that.
So you're not concerned. Again, I'm very confident. I'm supremely confident. As a betting man, though, to see everyone on New York now when no one was on New York 2 weeks ago. Not no one, but a lot of people. Let's call it down 2-1 against Atlanta. Where was everybody at? And I even tweeted, plus 475, double down. It won't be there in 2 weeks. Here we are. They're laying juice to now win the East. Plus 475. Great timing there, but yada, yada. Just a real fascinating thought from a psychological standpoint. Just playing devil's advocate. House money, per se. I know Cleveland had expectations preseason. I know they had bandwidth, or momentum from previous years, etc. And this is a momentous league as you build. But a mid-season acquisition, you could give him a little bit of an out if you're going to give him an out. But all that to say, are you concerned depth on depth? It can be a true 8 guys on 8 guys series because of Merrill, because of Dean Wade sometimes, because now Strus, a certified dude.
This is what concerns me, depth on depth, to your point. And it's what did the Pistons in. The Cavs' depth is also lethal from 3. Like, when Merrill and Strus are hitting threes.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate that Shaq made this term a thing, but it's the only thing I can think of now. But when the others are on there hitting shots, Cleveland is the Game 7 felt like it was the Warriors out there with Sam Merrill, right? Like, Sam Merrill is just laying the ball up from 3. That's what will concern me. Because as good as the Knicks have been playing, it feels like they're running guys out of the building, not necessarily like stifling defensively. They're just so efficient offensively. Cleveland, the best version of Cleveland is also very, very offensively efficient, but the B-plus version of the Knicks is probably like the best version of Cleveland. You know what I mean?
Well, look, we're in lockstep. We both got the Knicks, but we do see a world where Cleveland can shoot the lights out from 3. It's a three-point make-or-miss league. I mean, do you think, to put a button on it, if they shoot like Boston from a couple of years ago from beyond the arc, they could steal the series?
If Karl Anthony Towns has 3 fouls in the first quarter of 3 games, do you know what I'm saying? Like, picks up, like, is in foul trouble early and it really impacts the way that he's able to attack the next 3 quarters, and Cleveland shoots the lights out. That's the formula I see, but I don't see it. But if Cat's got like 1 foul with 7 minutes left in the second quarter, and he's cooking, he's got the ball at the high post, just dropping dimes, the way that he has been in the last 2 series, or the second half of the first series and the whole second round, it's going to be orange and blue. So to the Western Conference, I felt like I had an angle that nobody saw at the start of the postseason, right? I was like, it felt like nobody had seen that the Timberwolves had gone to back-to-back Western Conference Finals and got a little better, adding Dante DiVincenzo and Ayo Dosunmu, right? And then midway through the second round, or after the first game of the second round, all of a sudden everywhere, the Timberwolves, man, this Anthony Edwards is great. And so then summarily, it's kind of the same feeling you have with the Knicks. Nobody's talking about them. All of a sudden, one thing swings. Now everybody's talking about them.
Yeah.
And then that's what you're hoping doesn't happen in the Eastern Conference Finals, myself included. I also am hoping that doesn't happen. It did happen to Minnesota in the second round. San Antonio advances, meets Oklahoma City, who Oklahoma City is just – I talked about this yesterday on a Saturday show, and I want to get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
It's no fun to be on sports radio and talk about, like, things that are just definitely going to happen, right? Like, nobody's on the radio yelling, the sun is going to rise in the East. I guarantee it. The Thunder have the 8-0 through the postseason. Hold on.
You all right, my man?
Yeah, I got it. The Thunder are 8-0 in the postseason. And of those 8-0, none of them have been particularly close. And they just mollywopped LeBron James. Now, I know it's a 41-year-old LeBron James, but it was a LeBron James that was still possession for possession. You could tell me that was the top 10 player in the NBA, and it didn't freaking matter. As Oklahoma City just systematically got to the second half of those games, and all of a sudden is down for the count by the 11th round, whoever the opponent was. And it's like, that's not fun to talk about. And I'm wondering if we're just trying to manufacture something that could be happening in the Western Conference, or is this OKC's to lose?
Dude, I'm all in on the Spurs, man. Wasn't it 4-1 on the regular season, Martin?
It was.
4-1? A semis, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, at the Cup. All 3 of the OKC Big 3 dancing in that with the Wemby pitch count off the bench because we know he was coming back from injury during the Cup. I don't know how you don't sit here you go back to the box scores. I know a couple of interesting role players. I think Vassell popped in a game. Obviously, Wemby was coming back from the bench in a couple of them. But it's just interesting to see how they match up, right? I mean, it's a playoff centered around matchups. This team, geez, for, at the moment, a Jared McCain and, obviously the best contract in sports right now, our guy,
AJ
not
Mitchell.
Wiggins, thank you. It's just interesting because I feel a Vassell, a Castle, a Harper, a Keldon Johnson. I mean, just it is player for player plus the Wemby element, man. I mean, he had 3 in Hartenstein's face for a dagger in one of those wins. He had a block in Chet's face at some point. I mean, how do you land with, outside of home court and experience with OKC being easily slept in the series?
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. Like, but part of me is just trying to say, like, we all do it as gamblers, bettors, whatever. You'll sit there and be like, this long shot, you can talk yourself into how a quote-unquote long shot.
Well, yeah, you want to look at the value.
Right.
I got you.
Right. And part of me is just like, am I doing that? But this is my thing. And I go back to my second-round handicap of the Spurs because they just proved me so wrong. Like, everything I said was right, and it didn't matter. And I think when we're looking at the Spurs, when you're looking at Victor Wembanyama, he is somebody that we've never seen before. We have never seen this archetype. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen people – you could talk about somebody being the quote-unquote next LeBron James. I made reference when the Pistons were going through the postseason, the way that Cade was kind of taking over games reminded me of the way LeBron would take over games, sometimes with scoring, sometimes with passing. Now, obviously, LeBron was way better, and that's why the Pistons are at home. But the Timberwolves were designed to beat a dynamic big man in Jokic. They had Rudy Gobert. I mean, they got all the 7-foot guys. None of it mattered. So when I'm looking at Wemby,
Yeah.
I'm seeing something I've never seen before, and I'm thinking, as a result, I'm picking what I would never pick before, which is a team that's never won a playoff series in this core to go to the conference finals. I mean, to go to the NBA finals.
Yeah, well said. I mean, you got infrastructure with Minnesota who had stood the test of time the last 3 years against the top of the mountain, which was Denver. They'd slay them in the first round like it's nothing. And then you get to this challenge, and now we're going to watch a league, at least in the West, right, where you got to build to defend this massive individual. Have just a guy. Maybe go after this dude off your bench, dedicated solely to try to take this guy out, half the game, things of that nature, to game plan against him because we've never seen him. I mean, the Knicks have the best recipe. The Knicks have a little bit of their number, low-key, against this Wemby matchup. They have a cup medal, and they beat him again with Wemby this year. So you look at OKC, dude, we're value bettors in certain regards. This team's taken 4 of 5, Martin. And, all right, yeah, it's a brutal Game 1 challenge. They could easily go down 1-0. But their goal is a split here. Their goal is not to go up 2-0. So if they can just peel off one of these two, they're gonna do this. But, I mean, it seems like the general public is supremely confident that OKC is just going to do this. And
the Spurs, again, are younger. And the Spurs are less experienced, obviously.
True.
But, dude, watching those guys in the Western Conference second round, did you see it was too big for anybody? Like, did it feel like it was too big? It didn't feel too big for anybody out there.
Good point. Castle just went – Castle asserted his dominance in that closeout game.
Like, nobody felt like even if the Pistons were still playing right now, we would be like, well, the playoffs are too big for Jalen Duren.
Look, these are special talent. Castle won a ring with Hurley. Harper's a legacy with a Bulls big four, with Ron. It's like these dudes know the moment at this young age, and Wemby is wise beyond his years as well. I mean, he has a lot of intellect to his game that doesn't get a lot of shine because he's such a physical specimen. He's very intellectually smart at the game. So, yeah, man, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you on the Spurs, and it's going to be feeling 99. I got Knicks Spurs, my friend.
So I'm thinking Knicks Spurs as well. I think both of these series go back 1-1 to Game 3, and I think actually like both road teams in Game 1.
Wow.
Just rhythm versus rust versus, teams still kind of playing kind of hot. But then I think talent will eventually win out. Speaking of physical specimens, they finally were able to find the physical specimen of Aaron Rodgers. Spotted today at Pittsburgh training camp, working out, Alex. The 8 is back. He signed the paperwork, $22 million guaranteed up to 25. Aaron Rodgers in for another year.
He's in for another year, man. Am I going to do this to myself again? Is this about to turn into a Steelers, gentlemen, are we going to do this again? Because I'm going to do it again. Because now I have his guy he had a ring with. And I'm going to absolutely fall for it again. And I'm going to do it all over again. It's going to be effing brutal because I think the Bengals are going to be showing up in that division. It's not just going to be Baltimore this year.
I actually think that Cincinnati wins that division this year. Again, it's May 18th, so we'll have plenty of time to really dive into it. But I think Cincinnati wins that division. I love adding Dexter Lawrence to the defensive line.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me, now I'm old enough to remember when Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay and played an instrumental role in Mike McCarthy getting fired. And I don't know. I mean, we're looking at Aaron Rodgers, and my take is everybody used to blame Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers being really the purgatory Steelers.
Yeah.
And what looks different besides the skin color of the head coach right now, between this year and last year? Everything is the same. He's even got the same name, Mike. Do you know what I'm saying? The Steelers are going to be a 9 to 10 win team. They will compete for a wild card. And when they get to the postseason, they will be the number one organization, the number one argument as to why postseason expansion was a bad idea.
I got a couple things for you. On welcome back to me and Heinz Field, ready to go all in again. Michael Pittman added to this wide receiver core is so invaluable, man. I mean, Metcalf's not a reliable possession receiver. He went the whole effing season without a possession receiver. You look at his career, it's always a possession receiver guy. Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, even Jennings. You can make cases of possession receiver. Those long shot guys are great, but this is stability. And then you add Jaquan Brisker from Chicago, Martin, and you add Dean from the Bucks. Dude, come on, man! Those are two gargantuan veteran signings. I mean, Brisker a little younger, if I'm not mistaken, but a very good playmaker. And Dean, again, ability to steal possessions away. We've seen him play make and intercept balls as well. I really like the humble signings. And again, McCarthy just brings an adult element. This is about them getting in the tournament and can they run the table. I'll say it again because I'm a salesman in this betting world. But when did Aaron Rodgers win his only ring? I believe as a wild card team. I believe.
It was a wild card. It was a wild card.
So two things could be true. Could be a Bengals division. Could be Rodgers and the boys sneaking in. It's going to be a sneak in again to a very packed, talented AFC.
Aaron Rodgers is. I got to figure out what my athlete is for you. Who's my Aaron Rodgers for him? The guy I just like. I can't quit it. I can't let it go. I can't. I won't stop.
Yeah, let's take a second. Who do you got?
I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm sure Ian listens to more of me than I listen to myself, damn near, because of work. He'll have a few, I'm sure, at some point.
That's fair.
So let me ask you this, Alex. The
Yeah.
NFL schedule comes out. I do not. I opt out of schedule release videos.
Yeah.
If I want to know who's playing who, I just go to NFL.com and click the list. The best way for me to figure it all out. Two things that did jump out at me about the schedule: the Chiefs not having a real bye week. Like they have a bye week in week 5, but then have They have like between weeks 12 and 15. They like short weeks consecutively. And then Denver's first 6 games of the season stood out to me, but ultimately, I don't know. I think the schedule talk is much to do about nothing and more of a function of the fact that it's May and we want football. Did you see anything from the schedule that jumped out to where it's like we have to act now?
No, I mean, you get an early Super Bowl preview with Bills Lions, which could be fun.
Yeah.
You got a couple of traditional good marquee games. It's going to be interesting. They're adding in. Is Australia? Did I read correctly?
Melbourne, Australia.
Australia's in the mix. We got the good old. I'll take it. Late November. I'll take it all day, even though I prefer December. Chiefs at Bills. New stadium. The Packers, man, they're getting a lot of primetime shine. I believe they're playing on Christmas for sure, and
Thanksgiving.
Is it Thanksgiving? I think they're playing on both holidays.
They play Wednesday before Thanksgiving in a
Wednesday
standalone.
before Thanksgiving, but still.
That's the other thing that I've noticed about this schedule is so many more. They may not be quote unquote prime time, but standalone games.
Yeah.
Which for me beneficial because I was gonna watch it anyway, right? Even if it was on 2 TVs, I got the setup. I don't know how beneficial that is for Joe Public, who, because if one game is 31-7, he's probably gonna flip it to It's a Wonderful Life.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, to me, the scheduling's fun in the offseason, of course. But, I mean, the question becomes, do you feel like any of these teams, any singular teams are going to be taking advantage of which 2 divisions they're playing outside of what their normal, 6-game setup is? Even a question for Ian, too, just overall. Sometimes you get, a favorable scheduling spot for some of these upper echelons, top 5 quarterbacks, and you're like, oh, they're kind of propped up for a primetime run this year.
So, actually, what I find fascinating, I think if you look at the NFC West, I think Seattle has a great chance to be right back on top of that thing. Just when you look at the travel that the 49ers and Rams are going to have to go through. 49ers are international twice. Rams are international twice, I believe. Seattle's just playing a regular schedule.
Very good point.
They're just playing regular ball. They're just defending Super Bowl champions.
And that's going to have 2 to 3 game repercussions potentially, Martin.
Potentially, right? So, I don't know how much you can really draw from it, but it just feels like, shoot, you've been on a 6-hour flight, and then you've been on an 18-hour flight. One of them feels different than the other.
No question.
Guys, how about the Bears? I'm like the Bears are the biggest thing that sticks out to me, and I know your guy Colin Cowherd, your boss Martin, was talking about it on the show earlier last week. But they have the hardest schedule in the NFL, and that's just if you look at last season, how many games they won at the last minute, in those single possession games, they seem like a really, really obvious candidate for a step back here, which is could be a hot take because I know a lot of people are really hot on them as taking that next step this year. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, but they have the toughest schedule in the league, and they're already in a really tough division. Already, barely won a lot of their games last year. That seems like a real step back candidate.
But that's what so much of what makes them have the toughest schedule in the league is because they're in the really tough division. It's going to be really hard. The Lions won 9 games last year and finished in 4th, right, in the division. That's not sustainable year in, year out. And when we look at these strength of schedule rankings, it matters, sort of. But, what really matters is who's going to be there when they're available. I'll tell a quick story. A guy I knew was working for the Rams at the time, and they had the Titans on the schedule. And the Titans had traded for Julio Jones. And he worked on the defensive side of the ball. And I said, dude, how do you prepare for this? And he said, let's see if they're all there by the time we have to. And sure enough, Julio missed the game. A.J. Brown missed the game. And so it was like, it all looks good on paper.
It's a good point. I mean, look, the NFC North plays the AFC East and the NFC South. So you can even work backwards from a Bears thought, Ian. I mean, you got to play Buffalo on the road, brutal, in December. You got to go up to Seattle in November, not easy. You got to go to Miami in December. Go look at the Tom Brady numbers with Tom has like one blemish, and it's on the road in Miami. Point being is, I'm with you. It's a very daunting schedule, but again, I'm actually betting optimistically. Magic-esque team, can they magician-esque do it again? I'm voting for the Magic again, not the fallback. I don't think this is more like Minnesota off 2 years ago to this past year, where you're like, oh, they won all those one-score games with Kirk Cousins. Yeah. I think it was 2 years ago. Remember that? They just kept winning. Their point differential was like even, and they won all those games. I don't know. I think this Bears team, coach quarterback, I'm gonna lean into it. I'm gonna say they could be arguably fifth best tandem in the league by year's end. Am I delusional, gentlemen? Martin?
No, I mean, Caleb Williams is such a unique talent that I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not putting the seal like it would be like seeing Mahomes early with Andy Reid, and it's like
take a huge step back.
It'd be silly to put a ceiling on this.
100%. And they still have this window of he's on his rookie deal, so they could even be an offseason away from a monster acquisition or something that Pace certainly owes this town a lot more than he's bombed, because if outside of Caleb Williams, he ain't necessarily deserved to be there with all those swings and misses on his resume. But I digress. But yeah, man, we'll see. Schedule's fun.